They opened the cooler and froze. Inside, a woman's limbs, soaked in acid, chopped clean, packed tight, no face, no name, just fragments. 11 days earlier, she was alive, laughing, driving across town to see her sons. Now her body was spread between three coolers, scattered through the marshlands of Richmond, Texas. And the people who put her there, they weren't locals. They didn't dump her in a panic. They planned this. Because someone drove over 1,000 miles with a body in the back of a U-Haul, then tried to erase it with acid and alligators, and they almost got away with it. It was July in Texas, the kind of heat that sinks into your bones. A father and son were out near Oyster Creek, just a few miles south of Houston, fishing or maybe just killing time. The water was quiet, still, heavy. Then they saw it, a white cooler wedged in the reeds, sun-bleached, partially submerged. The lid bulging, the boy thought it looked like it had been there a while. The father didn't say much, just stared and called the police. When deputies arrived, they dragged the cooler from the bank. The plastic was warped from the heat, handles frayed, they pried it open. The smell hit first, inside, a torso, severed limbs, no face, no ID, just skin and acid, soaked together, soft tissue barely clinging to bone. The remains weren't decomposed, they were destroyed. They thought it might be an animal at first, but animals don't wear contact lenses, and animals don't come apart this cleanly. The cooler was sealed again, marked as evidence, hauled away in silence. Over the next few days, a second cooler was found, then a third, each one worse than the last. Inside them, the fragmented body of a single woman, her arms, her legs, her skull, all cut with precision, all treated with acid, then dumped into the water like trash, like they wanted her to disappear. They left her where the alligators roam. But the alligators didn't finish the job. The water didn't wash her away, because some bodies refused to stay buried. The investigation moved fast, too fast for comfort. The woman in the cooler had a name, Laura Ackerson. 27 years old, a mother of two. She wasn't a runaway, she wasn't a stranger. She had friends, family, a custody hearing, and someone wanted her gone. They traced the coolers back to a U-Haul, then to a man, then to his wife. And the story that unfolded next, the jealousy, the rage, the plan, would lead detectives from North Carolina to Texas and into one of the most disturbing crime scenes they'd ever encountered. Because this wasn't a crime of impulse. This was logistics. This was time. This was step-by-step erasure. So now we ask the question, what kind of person drives 1,200 miles just to make a body disappear? She was 27 years old, but inside, she carried the weight of a lifetime. Laura Ackerson ran her own small marketing business out of her home in Kinston, North Carolina, determined to build something bigger than herself. Her two sons were her motivation, her future. Then came Grant Hayes, a musician with rhythm in his blood, who charmed everyone until they looked closer. Publicly, he was magnetic, but privately, he controlled. He criticized. He made her feel like she was never enough, never on her terms. They had built two boys together. Twice, Laura tried to make their blended world work, and twice, it fractured. Grant turned to the islands. He played bars in St. John. He changed his name, pursued dreams that pulled him farther from his fatherhood and closer to dangerous choices. Laura followed, tried to keep them together. But when their youngest son needed care in the U.S., she came home to North Carolina and stayed. Grant stayed away, and while he did, he found someone else. Someone with a smile. Someone who fit his image. Amanda Hayes, a background actor in The Sopranos and Stepford Wives, polished, controlled, professional. She wanted a family, and Grant offered one fast. Married in Las Vegas, baby in arms, a new life. In early 2011, they moved back to Raleigh. The custody battle began again. Whatever Laura had rebuilt, her business, her stability, it all became leverage. When the court handed Laura back more time with her sons, winning joint custody, it wasn't a victory. In some homes, justice is a threat. Grant lost more than a court ruling. His power was slipping. And Amanda? She stood beside him, eager, ready. But beneath the calm, her eyes held something else. Guilt, doubt, ambition. Here's the question. At what point does a polished smile become a mask? Think about that custody hearing. Laura had won, but for the people who stood to lose everything, it wasn't victory they felt. It was fear. Fear of losing not just time with their sons, but control. And we all know, fear leads to desperate acts. In July 2011, Laura drove to Raleigh on the 13th. She checked on her sons, left them with Grant and Amanda. She left a voicemail for a friend, a casual message. Just pick them up, I'll be back soon. That message never got returned, because 7 days later her car was found in the parking lot of Grant and Amanda's apartment complex. No Laura, no phone, just silence. Her business partner reported her missing. The police dug into the Hayes household. They found a rented U-Haul filled with an unusual cargo. 2 boys, a baby, and suspicion. Flag number 1. We're not done. There's more coming. Later that week, Grant and Amanda show up in Richmond, Texas, at Amanda's sister's place, less than 100 yards from Oyster Creek. They arrived on July 18, the same day Laura's business partner raised the alarm, and that's when the real horror began. July 13, 2011, a Wednesday. Hot, quiet. Laura Ackerson gets into her car, a white Ford Focus, and heads west toward Raleigh. She doesn't pack heavy, doesn't bring anything unusual, just a change of clothes, her phone, and a plan. Pick up her sons from her ex, get a few errands done, maybe stop by a friend's place, be back home before dark. That was the expectation. She checks her messages, sends a casual text. Just picked up the boys, I'll talk to you later. That was the last time anyone heard from Laura. Hours pass, then more. The sun goes down, she misses a call, then 2. The next morning she misses a work meeting. Unusual, but not alarming, yet. By the evening, her business partner starts calling around. No response, no pings, just silence. The following day, her phone goes dead. No signal, no battery, or maybe no owner. By the 3rd day, panic sets in. Laura's business partner does what no one wants to do. He reports her missing. The police start retracing her steps, and that's when they find it. Her car, abandoned, parked near Grant and Amanda's apartment complex on Raleigh Boulevard. No keys, no phone, no signs of struggle, just sitting there like she'd walked away from it on purpose. But Laura never walked away from anything. Not her kids, not her responsibilities, not her life. They searched the area, no blood, no fingerprints, no damage, but the passenger seat is pushed back too far. The mirrors are off, her purse is gone. It doesn't feel like she parked it, it feels like someone else did. The investigators go to Grant and Amanda, the last people known to have seen Laura alive. They answer the door without hesitation, calm, friendly, almost relaxed. They say Laura never came by, that they expected her, but she must have changed her mind, that maybe she got caught up or flaked or something else. No concern, no fear, just distance. It's the kind of detachment you can't fake if you've ever loved someone, or lost them, or feared they were missing. Their eyes don't scan the room, their voices don't shake. They're not looking for help. They're waiting for the questions to stop. And for a few hours, they do. But then detectives get curious. They ask about travel plans. The couple says none. No vacations, no moving trucks, nothing going on. But just days after Laura vanished, surveillance catches something different. Grant and Amanda are seen loading a U-Haul trailer outside their apartment, a baby, 2 young boys, and a cooler. They drive off without saying goodbye to neighbors, without telling anyone where they're going, without any real explanation. Here's where it gets darker. The U-Haul wasn't packed with furniture. There was no job offer in another state, no family emergency, no plans. Just a trip, a long, quiet trip. From Raleigh, North Carolina, to Richmond, Texas. Over 1,200 miles. Why? They arrive at Amanda's sister's house on July 18th, 5 days after Laura goes missing. They're calm, polite, they act like everything's normal. But Amanda's sister senses something. They're distant, preoccupied. Amanda asks strange questions. Where can we rent a boat? Where does the creek go? What animals live around here? One day they borrow tools, a saw, duct tape. They clean obsessively. They burn something in the backyard grill for hours. No one asks too many questions. Not yet. But when they leave fast. And they don't leave empty-handed. They take the U-Haul back, wipe it down, return it 2 days later. No paperwork out of place, no complaints from the rental company. It's almost perfect, but almost never is. At this point, police are circling. Laura's still missing. Her phone never reactivates. Her credit cards go untouched. Her business falls silent. But Grant and Amanda? They're moving on. Smiling, shopping, raising 3 kids like nothing happened. And the one person who should be there, Laura, isn't. Investigators dig deeper. Cell tower records show Laura's phone pinged near Grant's apartment on the day she vanished, and then nothing. Dead zone. Amanda's sister, feeling uneasy, reaches out to authorities, says something's wrong, that Grant and Amanda were acting strange. That's when the search shifts, from Raleigh to Richmond, from a missing persons case to something far more disturbing. Because there's only one reason to rent a U-Haul with no destination. Only one reason to leave without a word. Only one reason to drive across 5 states with a cooler in the back. So now the question isn't just, where is Laura Ackerson? It's, what exactly was in that trailer, and why did they believe it would never be found? It's July 18th, 5 days since Laura Ackerson disappeared, and a U-Haul is pulling out of a quiet neighborhood in Raleigh, North Carolina. Behind the wheel, Grant Hayes. Beside him, Amanda. In the back, 3 children, 2 boys who don't know their mother is missing, and a baby girl too young to speak. Also in the trailer, multiple duffel bags, plastic sheeting, and 1 red cooler. They don't leave in a rush. They don't act nervous. They drive like a family going on vacation. But they're not heading to the beach. They're driving over 1,200 miles to Richmond, Texas, to Amanda's sister's house, to a creek where secrets go to sink. Let's stop here. Think about what's inside that trailer. Not clothes, not food, not toys for the kids. Inside is a woman's body, dismembered, soaked in acid, wrapped in trash bags, and folded into coolers. Her name was Laura Ackerson, and she didn't die by accident. Grant and Amanda knew what they were carrying. And they drove 20 hours straight through 5 states with their children in the back seat, sleeping, eating, while their mother or their father's ex was decomposing inches away. Who does that? They arrive in Richmond sometime around midnight. Amanda's sister greets them. She has no idea what they've done. She lets them stay. For 4 days, they live like nothing's happened. They play with the kids, eat dinner together, sleep in clean beds. They hold conversations, smile, watch TV. There's no blood on their clothes, no urgency in their voices, but something is off. Amanda starts asking strange questions. Where can we rent a boat? How deep is the creek behind the house? What kind of animals live in the water? Then Grant starts making quiet trips to the garage. He borrows bleach, plastic wrap. Amanda helps. They take long drives at night, carry heavy coolers back and forth between the car and the yard. At one point, they ask where they can buy heavy-duty chemicals. Then they stop asking altogether. People always assume murder ends at the moment of death. But sometimes death is just the beginning. Because what Grant and Amanda did after Laura died, how they handled her body, how they planned the disposal, how they tried to vanish her completely, tells you more than the killing ever could. This wasn't panic. This was process. And process leaves trails. On the 5th day, Amanda's sister makes a phone call. She doesn't say much, just that she's concerned. Something's not right. They've been acting off. The questions, the late-night trips, the smell. Within hours, the investigation jumps state lines. Texas authorities coordinate with North Carolina. Search teams fan out across the creek behind Amanda's sister's house. And then they see it, a cooler, half submerged, caught in the reeds. It's sealed tight, heavy. When they open it, they don't need lab results. They know what they're looking at. A torso, flesh damaged by acid, bones fractured, not broken, packed carefully. Nearby, a second cooler, then a third. One contains arms, one contains legs, another holds Laura's head, her features nearly erased. The acid didn't finish the job, the heat didn't hide it, the water didn't carry her away. Laura's body was cut with intent, positioned for decomposition. Sealed and delivered 1,200 miles from where she was last seen alive. When police call in the dental records, they already know the answer. It's Laura. What they're holding in their hands is the body of a woman who trusted the wrong people, who loved her children, who walked into an apartment to pick up her sons and never walked out again. And now, she's in pieces, floating in Texas. Because someone she once shared a life with decided that co-parenting was no longer an option. This wasn't a domestic dispute. This was the execution of a problem, and that problem was Laura. Grant and Amanda are arrested soon after, but the question lingers. Who really did what? And who was just helping? Because the body was cut clean. The chemicals were precise. The disposal took planning. One of them had to lead, the other had to follow. Or maybe they both wanted her gone. They thought they'd destroyed her, They thought acid would finish what the knives started, that alligators would take care of the rest, that Texas heat, Texas water, and enough time would make Laura Ackerson disappear for good. But they were wrong, because Laura's body told a story, and what that story revealed was colder than anyone expected. Forensic investigators begin piecing her back together, literally. 3 coolers, multiple bags, soft tissue damaged by caustic agents. But there's still enough left to work with. Her arms, disarticulated at the shoulders, her legs cut cleanly at the thighs. Her head, partially burned, partially dissolved, and her torso nearly folded in half. There's no doubt now. Someone took time. Someone used knowledge. This wasn't rage, it was removal. Most killers stop at the act, but Grant and Amanda planned for the cleanup. They bought muriatic acid, the kind used to strip metal, poured it over her remains in a bathtub, waited. When that didn't work fast enough, they went back to the store. They weren't improvising, they were experimenting. Back in Raleigh, crime scene investigators sweep Grant and Amanda's apartment. The first thing they notice is the smell, then the bleach, then the blood. Traces in the bathroom, invisible to the eye but screaming under luminol. The drains are clogged, the shower curtain is gone, a hacksaw is found beneath the sink. The U-Haul they rented, traces of DNA in the cargo bed, and fibers that match the ones found inside the coolers. Grant tries to explain. He says he had nothing to do with it, that Amanda was acting strange, that she took care of it all, that maybe Laura attacked them first, that maybe she never even came to the apartment. He tells a dozen different stories. Not one of them fits. Amanda doesn't speak at first, but then she cracks. Says Grant threatened her, that she didn't know Laura was dead until it was too late, that she only helped with the cleanup because she was afraid. Afraid of what? That part's never clear. Here's where the narrative splits. Grant says Amanda was the mastermind. Amanda says Grant did everything and used her like a pawn. The truth? Probably somewhere in between. Because Amanda helped buy the acid, Amanda helped rent the U-Haul, Amanda helped carry the coolers, and Amanda helped dump them in the water. At what point does fear become complicity? The timeline is rebuilt. July 13th, Laura disappears. July 14th to 15th, her body is dismembered in the apartment bathtub. July 16th to 17th, acid is applied to the remains. July 18th, the U-Haul is rented. July 19th, the family drives to Texas. July 20th to 21st, coolers are dumped in Oyster Creek. July 24th, human remains are discovered. Each date matched with receipts, phone records, surveillance video, DNA. No more lies, no more hiding, only a puzzle, ugly and unfinished, being slowly put back together. But there's something else, something unexpected, because as investigators go deeper, they find journal entries, written by Amanda. Fragments, phrases, bits of planning, words like silence, clean, erase, and fix it before it's too late. Suddenly, the woman who once claimed fear begins to sound more like a woman with a motive. Maybe she wasn't just trying to help Grant. Maybe she wanted Laura gone too. And then a phone call from jail. Grant, speaking to Amanda. He doesn't express fear. He doesn't say, "I'm sorry." He asks if she cleaned everything, if anyone knows, if the plan is still holding. It's not a confession, it's coordination. 2 voices, 2 versions of the same truth, and neither one showing remorse. For prosecutors, it's enough. They push for murder charges. They prepare for 2 trials, 2 stories, 2 monsters in love, and Laura's family waits. For justice, for answers, for something, anything, that explains why she had to die. They sat at 2 separate tables, not as husband and wife, but as co-defendants. The courtroom was still. No tears, no breakdowns, just cold posture and quiet calculation. Grant Hayes was charged with first-degree murder. Amanda Hayes faced second-degree murder and evidence tampering. They were being tried separately because even now they blamed each other. And this is when their love story collapsed, because the moment it came time to face consequences, they turned on each other like strangers. Grant's trial came first. The prosecution laid out a story that didn't need theatrics, because the facts were brutal enough. They showed the timeline, the custody ruling, the tension, the disappearance, the drive, the coolers. They showed the receipts, muriatic acid, cleaning supplies, duct tape, rented truck, gas station logs, surveillance. Then they played the phone calls from jail, Grant talking in code, asking Amanda if everything had been cleaned, asking if the trash had been taken care of. No remorse, no confusion, just logistics. The defense tried to claim Laura attacked Grant, that there was a fight, that it got out of hand, but there were no signs of struggle in the apartment, only signs of planning. They said Amanda was unstable, that she had a temper, that she manipulated Grant into helping her. But the jury wasn't buying it. After just 3 hours of deliberation, Grant Hayes was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He didn't flinch, not even when Laura's family stood just feet away. Amanda still had a chance to write her version of the story, and the version she told was almost believable. Her trial began 6 months later. She took the stand. She cried. She said Grant was abusive, that he threatened her, that she never agreed to kill Laura, that she helped because she was scared. She told the jury she didn't know what was in the coolers, that she thought it was trash, that she didn't even know Laura was dead until they were halfway to Texas. But her journal entries told a different story. One page read, "I wish we could just get rid of her, start clean. She's poisoning everything. No more threats, no more fighting, I just want peace." The prosecution asked what that meant. Amanda couldn't answer. The jury convicted her of second-degree murder. She was sentenced to 13 to 16 years in North Carolina. Then she was extradited to Texas and convicted again, this time for tampering with human remains. That charge added another 20 years. Her 2 sentences would run consecutively. She'd served more than 3 decades in total. But there's a catch. She served the North Carolina portion first, and she's now sitting in a Texas prison with a parole date looming. She could be free in less than 10 years. So the question becomes, was Amanda a pawn or a partner? Was she manipulated, or was she just better at hiding the part she played? The trials gave Laura's family some closure, but no peace, because her sons, the ones she died fighting for, they'll grow up knowing their mother was erased by 2 people who claimed to love them. They'll grow up seeing photos instead of memories. And Grant and Amanda, they'll grow old in prison. Maybe, because time has a way of dulling consequences, and killers have a way of rewriting their stories when the world stops watching. Laura Ackerson never got a funeral in one piece. Her remains were delivered to her family in coolers, cleaned, cataloged, numbered, some bones burned, others dissolved, some still missing. What they buried wasn't her body, it was what was left of it, and even that took weeks to identify. Her children were placed with relatives, too young to understand what happened, too young to know what they lost. When they ask about their mother now, they don't get a full story. Not yet. Just pieces. Just the good parts. The memories that don't bleed. But eventually they'll learn. They'll Google her name, see the headlines, watch the documentaries, and realize they were at the center of something no child should have to carry. Because that's what this was really about. Not love, not money, not jealousy, custody, control. The idea that if Laura had her sons, someone else didn't, and that was enough to make her vanish. Grant Hayes will spend the rest of his life in prison. He gave an interview from behind bars in 2024, said he never laid a hand on Laura, blamed Amanda, said she snapped, said he was scared of her. He spoke clearly, calmly, but not once did he say her name. Not once did he say Laura, as if naming her would make the truth too heavy to carry. Amanda Hayes is now serving her time in Texas. She finished her sentence in North Carolina and was transferred in 2023. She's already filed for parole. Her supporters say she deserves a second chance, that she was manipulated, that she's a survivor too. But survivors don't rent U-Hauls. Survivors don't cut bodies in bathtubs. Survivors don't feed mothers to alligators, and yet, she might walk free. One day she might step out of that prison, change her name, move away, start over. But Laura never got that chance. If you ask the people who loved Laura, they'll tell you she was flawed, she was struggling, she was trying, but she was trying for her kids, not herself, and certainly not revenge. She didn't want to win a battle, she wanted to be present, and for that, she was erased. There's no monument to Laura Ackerson, no statue, no mural, just a name on a headstone, and a silence that never quite fills the room. But what she left behind, her children, her fight, her refusal to give up, that still echoes. Do you believe Amanda was just afraid, Or was she every bit as guilty as the man beside her? And more importantly, do you think justice was served? Comment below, because some stories end in courtrooms, others end in swamps. But this one, it ends with a question.